Hi, everybody. Mike Kaplan and Danny Kruger here. We are talking today about building safety and return to work technology. We are from IO Energy and both subject matter experts in this and many IoT technologies. So, what are we talking about today, Danny?
Well, we thought it'd be interesting for our partners and clients and friends to talk a little bit about what our research and our conversations have all led to around this dynamic of return to work and building safety. So we're in this permanent shift. It happened, after the Great Depression. It happened after Pearl Harbor. It happened after 9/11, and then now we're in this major shift after the pandemic, COVID
The new
19.
normal, huh?
It's the post COVID world now. So we've got some learnings we wanted to kind of share, and maybe one of the topics is what problems are the clients and the folks we're talking to, what are they wrestling with?
Good deal. So, I know we had talked a little bit about the survey that we found out about for folks returning to work. I think it was Honeywell had
In
said,
fact, I'd love to share that. You're right. Let me see if I can pop this up on the screen. Uh, this is the trigger that I think is the big aha moment. Honeywell. Everybody knows this company, very venerated, well respected. So they did a survey, and 68% of surveyed workers do not feel completely safe in their buildings. That's a big deal, and we'll try to share this link up at the top, but it's easy to find. January 2021. The other salient point in this excellent article is that 1 in 4 occupants, employees, will look for a new job rather than return to a building that they perceive as being unsafe.
wow,
And for us, I mean, this is an aha moment. I think what we're finding, if we unpack this a little bit, is that there's a story behind the story, as there always is. And that story is this shift that we've endured and managed from a workplace down to shelter in place and work from home. And as Al Roker sometimes says, not working from home, but living from work. So this dynamic has been a really strong pull. The tide has gone out. And as commercial building owners and as real estate investment trust principals, a lot of our clients are saying, we don't know if that tide is going to come all the way back in. And if it doesn't come all the way back in, it's gonna do this incredible change in the dynamic of competitiveness. The what we're getting at, and this survey underlines, is that only those buildings that have demonstrated that they value indoor air quality, occupant comfort, occupant safety, those those buildings and those building operators are going to have a competitive advantage. And it kind of doesn't matter whether one's politics or one's view of the science, or just we're just talking about buyer behavior, lessee behavior. If I am going to lease my building and I want the best chances of getting that lease signed, I need to demonstrate that I've made my building as safe as I know how to make it.
well, to
And I
that
think
point,
that's an interesting dynamic to start with.
and to that point, Danny, we kind of hopped on that early about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago here at IO Energy. And if you want to flip over and share the page that shows our return to work technologies, we can give some broad strokes on what those technologies are and what people are asking for out there in terms of both helping to increase the perception of safety and to increase actual safety. This is a page from our website, ioenergyinc.com. And right at the top is one of the major measures that we've been deploying this year, and that is UV disinfection, using UV light to actually disinfect surfaces and make surfaces safer. Um, Something that's been used in hospitals for a very long time, but it's being repurposed and re-engineered to be used in offices and that sort of thing. Um, the thing that came out early, if you want to scroll down a little bit more there, Danny, thing that came out very early, it was temperature monitoring and mask compliance and general compliance monitoring. We have products that are kiosks where you walk up, it takes your temperature, it knows if you're wearing a mask or not, and then puts all that information into a database in the back end to make sure that the company knows or the client knows that they've been compliant in checking everybody coming in the door. This technology has evolved quickly over the last year and is very robust now. And I imagine that people are going to be using these systems for some time to come, just as a general measure to help keep employees happier and healthier.
Well, and you've touched on two of the big four, I would say. So if we begin with the premise that occupant confidence, occupant comfort in their environment is the overarching tenet. This is the thing we have to resolve and tackle. Then within that mandate, we've touched on UV disinfection. So that's indoor air quality. And I'm gonna hopefully you can unpack kind of more about what is UV disinfection, what is that technology. But then you also shared another of the pillars, and that's this temperature check and health monitoring. So you don't want to encourage or even allow folks who have COVID-19, the flu, any other communicable disease. You don't want them coming to work, and there's an enforcement component here. So these two really support that overarching mandate of creating a safe environment where the companies that lease the buildings and the occupants who work for those companies can really have a safe and positive work experience, better than their shelter in place.
Yeah, no, agreed. One of the other major parts of this that larger buildings, government buildings, buildings with multiple tenants, buildings with a single tenant are up against is they just don't know what's going on in their building. And even if they do know what's going on in their building in a more sort of analog way, without sensors, it's usually not within enough time to take action on something. If you look at the both of these, remote administration and enterprise data and energy systems for commercial buildings, these are both IoT technologies that allow a sensor network to, in real time, give you data about what's going on in your building. What's come out of this technology with regard to the pandemic is the ability to do things like contact tracing. So making sure that everybody has a tag on when they're visiting the building, and they've gone through their normal process of checking in and getting their temperature taken. But if they do happen to have the virus, and then they do happen to have an outbreak, then they're able to go back to the data and find that specific person, where they've been, who they've touched. They now know which areas to clean and which people to follow up with. And that's all done with sensor data that can be with sensors that can be doing other things like saving energy and providing other insights into the building. So very broad, sort of a broad bucket, but lots of great solutions for IoT sensor networks that we put into buildings. So, and then remote administration is something that we've been offering for folks for a while now, mostly for empty buildings or buildings that aren't leased, where if you are sheltering in place and want to make sure that there's no water leaks or environmental issues happening in the building, then we can monitor those things in the cloud for you.
Well, I think that is really those are the main levers that a REIT or a building owner can pull to kind of feed that objective of making sure people feel safe. And it kind of reminds me of that old parable or the joke where the two friends are hiking in the jungle, and they hear a tiger roar, and one takes off running, and the other one starts to lace up his tennis shoes, and the one who takes off first says, "Well, why are you putting your shoes on? You can't outrun a tiger." He says, "No, no, no, no. I only have to outrun you," and that's kind of the truth. If you're doing reasonable measures, or just more than the next entity, then I think that you will win that new competitive advancement where your enterprise is considered to be the stalwart. It's the one that cares the most. And these measures are not expensive. Indoor air quality, UVC disinfection lighting, the automated systems to check for personal protection equipment, masks, temperature scanning. None of this costs very much, but it sure makes a big difference on the back end.
Well said, Danny. We're going to be doing a few of these talks, and over the next several weeks. You want to tell us what we're going to be doing next week?
Yeah, I think the next one we'd like to share is just some of our clients' investments into IoT building systems, and most of these, are really to our core DNA. Not so much about pandemic relief and occupant safety, but more about energy efficiency and optimizing the energy consuming systems within a building. And there's just some incredible technology around that. Can't wait to share it.
Good deal. We'll be looking forward to that. Well, thanks, Danny. And for everybody here at IO Energy, I'm Mike Kaplan. This is Danny Kruger, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.